Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast. We are breaking down chapter 1138 today, titled The Three Worlds. And I'm telling you right now, this is one for the history books. This isn't just a chapter with a cool fight or a funny moment. This is a pillar. This is one of those chapters we're going to be referencing for years to come.
Franky, we need to start with the single biggest reveal, straight up. For 25 years, I've wondered who Shanks is, where he came from. I've had my own theories, from him being a 10-year Beto to being Roxty Zebek's son. The mystery has been a cornerstone of the story.
And we just got the answer in the most direct, brutal way possible. Shanks is a Figarland. He's a former celestial dragon. And he has a twin brother. A literal, honest-to-God twin brother. I had to read that panel 3 times. I thought it was a mistranslation.
A twin brother who is one of the Holy Knights. If you've been waiting for the lore drops that recontextualize the entire story, you're going to want to follow this broadcast. This is the kind of chapter that changes everything. Every scene with Shanks, every interaction, now has to be viewed through this new lens.
It really is. It's like Oda just handed us a new pair of glasses and said, okay, try reading the whole story again. So let's get into it, starting right where we left off, with Prince Loki waking up in Elbaph.
He wakes up, he's chained, and the first thing he sees is Holy Knight Shamrock. The art is chilling. He has the same scars over his left eye, the same jawline. The only real difference is the pure, unadulterated arrogance in his expression, the look of a world noble. And Loki asks the question we've all been asking. Why do you look exactly like red-haired Shanks?
And the other night, Gunko tries to shut it down immediately. You don't have to answer that. You get the sense that this is a closely guarded secret, even within the world government. But Loki is a prince. He's not having it. He's a giant, a warrior, and he's not going to be intimidated. He demands to know why a world noble, a god of this world, has the face of a legendary pirate.
And Shamrock just tells him. No hesitation. The arrogance is astounding. He doesn't see Loki as a threat, or even as a person worthy of keeping a secret from. To him, Loki is just a bug he's about to squash. He says Shanks is his younger twin brother. He even adds that Shanks came back to marry Jiwaz once. He saw the life he could have had.
That one line is just wow. It blows my mind. Shanks went back? After growing up with Roger, after inheriting the Straw Hat, he went back to the Holy Land? Shamrock makes it sound like he was testing him, offering him a place back in the family. He saw the life of a god with all the power and luxury that entails, and he chose to leave. Shamrock calls our world filthy and says Shanks preferred it. That is such a monumental character moment for a guy who isn't even in the scene. Shanks knew his heritage and rejected it completely.
It confirms so much. His access to the Gorosei, the deference they show him. Remember in Reverie, they cleared the room for him. They spoke to him as, if not an equal, then at least someone who operates on their level. It all tracks if he is, by blood, one of them. But he chose freedom. He chose the sea. It speaks volumes about his character. He saw the gilded cage and chose the storm instead.
It makes him even more of a legend, and it makes Shamrock so much more hateable. You can feel the resentment in his voice. He can't comprehend why anyone would choose the filth over godhood. He's personally offended by Shanks' choice. It's not just a political difference, it's a family betrayal.
This also seems to reframe the God Valley incident. It's been said the Figarland family was there. It makes you wonder if that's where Roger found Shanks as a baby, in a treasure chest caught in the crossfire. Now it seems almost certain. He was the 1-year-old son of a Holy Knight.
And Loki, Prince of the Giants, just spits it right back in Shamrock's face. He says now he's got a reason to hate both brothers, and as soon as he's free, he's going to make Shamrock pay for the ambush. You gotta love the guts on this guy. He's chained, beaten, and facing 2 Holy Knights, and he's still making threats. Super.
Which was a mistake. A very brave but very foolish mistake. You don't threaten a celestial dragon like that. They're raised to believe they are infallible, untouchable. Shamrock is so offended he doesn't even want to touch Loki himself. He considers it beneath him.
He draws his sword then, and his sword is a dog. I mean, what else would it be in One Piece? Oda's just flexing his creativity at this point.
Or rather, the sword becomes a dog, a 3-headed one. It's drawn as this ornate, beautiful blade, and then it just erupts into this monstrous beast.
A mythical Zoan Cerberus that's been fed to an inanimate object. We've seen this before with Spandam's Funkfried, the elephant sword, but this is on another level. A Holy Knight's personal weapon is a mythical beast from the underworld. This isn't just some CP9 gimmick. This is the absolute pinnacle of that technology. You have to wonder, is this a product of Vegapunk's research, or is it something the world government developed on its own, something even older?
The mythological connection is potent. Cerberus guards the gates of Hades. For a holy knight to wield a creature of the underworld, it's a complete perversion of the term. They represent a celestial power, but their methods are demonic. It's a perfect symbol for the hypocrisy of the world government.
And the power is off the charts. The sword, now a three-headed wolf dog monster, is just snarling, and you can feel the menace coming off the page. This is the peak of that technology. It's not just a gimmick, it's a legitimate threat. Shamrock leaves it to finish off Loki while he and Gunko fly away on one of her created birds.
Which is another interesting power. Gunko seems to have a paramecia ability to create life, or at least temporary life, from some material. Her birds look like they're made of paper or clay. It's a very versatile and dangerous ability for reconnaissance and transport.
And as they leave, they're already planning their next move. Use the captured children as leverage against the giants and call for another night. They're escalating. The full force of the Holy Knights is descending on Elbaph. This isn't just a small skirmish. This is the prelude to an all-out war on the giants' homeland.
It leaves Loki in a terrifying position. Even he, a giant prince, a warrior famed for his strength, says he can't survive this monster. We're left with him just cursing the world nobles as this thing lunges. The chapter doesn't give us a resolution. It just leaves him to his fate.
What a way to open a chapter. From there, we cut over to Arist Castle, where Loki and the crew are getting the bad news. And what a tonal shift, from a life-or-death battle to a conversation in a castle.
The Elbaph guards are reporting who attacked them, and they're all saying the same thing. It was red-haired Shanks. They saw him with their own eyes. For them, it's an open and shut case.
And Loki isn't having it for a second, not even a glimmer of doubt. He just flat out refuses to believe it. The guards are trying to reason with him, saying Shanks has visited Elbaph before. Everyone knows his face. It's a logical argument, but Loki is adamant it wasn't him.
Nami just muses on how defensive he is of his hero. She's looking at him with this fond, knowing smile. And Loki just says, well, of course, it's natural. He says it like it's the most obvious fact in the world.
This is pure Loki. This is the guy who trusted Robin in Water 7 when the entire world called her a traitor. This is the guy who trusted Usopp would come back. It's not about logic or what makes sense. It's about his faith in the person who set him on his path. He knows Shanks' heart, and that man would not ambush giants and kidnap children. It's such a core Straw Hat trait, trusting people over rumors.
It's an instinct. Loki has an almost supernatural ability to gauge a person's true character. He felt it with Vivi, with Rebecca, with Kairos, and his faith in Shanks is the foundation of his entire dream as a pirate. To even consider that Shanks could be evil would be to question his own journey. He's incapable of it.
The guards then start spitballing. They're trying to reconcile Loki's certainty with what they saw. If it wasn't Shanks, maybe it was a look-alike, maybe a brother? And the panel on Loki's face is just perfect.
The dramatic irony is thick. We, the readers, know it's true. But to Loki, the idea is so foreign, so out of left field, that it just stops him in his tracks.
And Luffy just stops. He admits he's never heard Shanks talk about his family. Not once. He just figured the Roger Pirates were his family. That's how he sees his own crew.
It is a beautiful insight into his worldview, and he even makes a point to exclude Buggy from that family, which is a perfect little character beat. It's hilarious, but it's also so telling. It shows that for all the reverence Luffy has for Shanks, there's a huge part of his life that's a complete mystery. It's a very humanizing moment for a character who's been built up as this untouchable legend. He's not just a symbol, he's a person with a past he clearly doesn't talk about.
And while they're having this conversation, the chapter shows us a mysterious figure approaching the castle. The angle is low, we just see his sandals in the bottom of his coat.
Yes, and he looks exactly like the person from the Decks of the World cover story, the one who was visiting Crocus and sharing a drink at the Twin Capes. It was a cover story from a long time ago, after the Dressrosa arc.
My first thought was that this has to be Scopper Gaban, one of the top members of the Roger Pirates after Roger and Rayleigh. He's been one of the biggest lingering mysteries of the Old Guard.
And he's showing up now in Elbaph, just as Shanks' family history is coming to light? The timing is way too perfect. Oda is bringing all the old legends out of retirement for this final saga. First Rayleigh, now maybe Gabon. It feels like the old generation is assembling to pass the torch.
Exactly. It feels like the world is converging on this island. The Holy Knights, the Straw Hats, a legend of the Roger Pirates. Elbaph is becoming the stage for the next major act of the story.
So from one legend, we go to another. The scene shifts to Franky over at the Treasure Tree Atom. He's with Ripley, one of the giant shipwrights.
This is my favorite part of the chapter, obviously. He's learning about the wood, and it's such a classic, brilliant Oda detail. It subverts our expectations completely.
It's so good. Franky is freaking out because he thought atom wood was the rarest material in the world, the stuff of legends that he scraped together just enough of to build the Sunny. But Ripley's like, no, all the branches here are from it. The whole island is covered in it. It's like their version of plywood.
The value doesn't come from its rarity on Elbaph. It comes from the fact that it's taken from the island without permission. It's stolen goods. The world values it so highly because it's stolen from the giants.
Which is why Saul won't let him take any. The price is literally determined by the crime involved in getting it. That's such a great little piece of world building. But then Franky, being the super shipwright he is, notices something on the tree itself. He's not just looking at the wood, he's studying the trunk.
A mural. A series of carvings in the bark. Ripley calls them children's drawings from long ago. She's very dismissive of them.
But she also calls it a historical relic from the Void Century. A child's drawing from the Void Century? My man Franky immediately connects the dots. He knows what history from that era means. He was there in Ennie's lobby. He knows what the world government does to people who study it. And he thinks, I've gotta tell Robin. It's such a great crew moment even when they're not together. He knows exactly who needs this information.
The drawing itself is significant. It's crude, childlike, but the message is clear. It shows all these different races, giants, humans, minks, fishmen, others we don't even recognize, all working together, holding hands, building something.
Ripley dismisses it as a child's dream of a perfect world. But a child's dream from the Void Century? That's not just a dream, that's a memory. That's a piece of the truth. It's evidence of what the world was like before the 20 Kings took over. That's the history the world government tried to erase.
Super! I was waiting for that one. It's the core theme of the series, right there on the tree. The dream of a unified world that was lost. It's the same dream Fisher Tiger had. The same dream Queen Odahime had. It's the dream of a world without discrimination, where everyone can live together under the same sun.
And from the visual history, we go to the written history. The final scene. Over to you, Robin. This is where my brain started to melt.
This was a lot. The scene shifts to you with Jaguar D. Saul in the Owl Library, the repository of all the books saved from O'Hara. It's an emotional setting to begin with, and he shows you a text. It's not a poneglyph. It's a book, written on paper, but it's ancient. It's called the Harley.
The Harley. What is it? Like a Bible? A historical record?
It's the source material. Saul explains that all of Elbaph's myths and legends, all their stories about gods, were inspired by different interpretations of this one single text. The giants' entire culture, their entire religion stems from this book.
Whoa! So all the conflicting stories about the sun god having different personalities, like the tales of the raging sun god and the playful sun god, it's because everyone's just reading the same book differently and telling the story their own way.
Precisely. It's a beautiful commentary on how history becomes myth over time. And he says you can read it. He explains it's broken into 3 chapters, or 3 worlds, and the 3rd chapter describes the world as it is today and what will happen in the future.
A prophecy. Of course it is. It always comes back to a prophecy.
Before you start reading, Saul mentions one more thing, that legends of Nika are found all over the world, but the one common feature, the one thing that connects every version of the myth, is that he always appears laughing to a particular rhythm. And Saul starts tapping it out on the table with his fingers. the drums of liberation.
It's a universal constant, the heartbeat of the sun god. It's not just a sound Luffy makes, it's a cultural memory embedded in the entire world, waiting to be reawakened. So, what did the text say? Lay it on us.
The first chapter is called The First World. It reads, "Within the earth there was fire. Mankind succumbed to greed and touched the forbidden sun. The enslaved prayed, and the sun god appeared. The earth god raged, and with its serpent of hellfire shrouded the world in death and darkness, and they will never meet."
Okay, hold on. Let's break that down. Within the earth there was fire, the Wylm of D, the fire of rebellion. Mankind succumbed to greed and touched the forbidden sun. That sounds like the crime of the Void Century. Whatever the ancient kingdom did, the 20 kings considered it a massive overreach. Maybe they discovered the ancient energy source Vegapunk was talking about.
The sun god appeared to help the enslaved. That's Joy Boy. That's Nika. He was a liberator, a hero to the oppressed. But then the earth god raged.
The earth god. It has to be Emu, sitting on the empty throne claiming to be the king of the world, the earth. It fits perfectly. The ruler of the land versus the god of the sky.
And it's Serpent of Hellfire. What does that sound like? A weapon? A creature? We saw that massive shadow thing erase Lulusia. Was that the serpent? Or is it something else? The thing that created the red line maybe? A colossal beast that shaped the very continents? Whatever it was, it brought death and darkness. It ended that world.
And it ends with, "And they will never meet." The sun god and the earth god. A permanent separation. It's a curse, a decree that these two opposing forces must be kept apart forever.
Then comes the second chapter, the second world. It says, "Within the void there was breath. The forest god tamed demons, and the sun spread the fires of war. Those of the half-moon dreamed. Those of the moon dreamed. Man killed the sun and became god, and the sea gods stormed, and they will never meet."
Whoa, forest god? Sea god? We're getting a whole pantheon here. Man killed the sun and became god. That's it right there. That's the 20 kings defeating Joy Boy and taking his place as the new gods of the world, the celestial dragons. It's the story of the Void Century in a single sentence.
The half-moon and moon people dreaming, it has to be a reference to the Lunarians and maybe the D-Clan. The crescent moon symbol has appeared in relation to the D-Clan before, in the Alabasta poneglyph. Their dreams were suppressed or destroyed in this new world order.
And the sea god stormed? Did the world flood after that? Is that how the One Piece world map came to be so strange and divided by the Grand Line and the Red Line? Maybe the ancient weapon Poseidon was used, or went out of control and reshaped the planet. It would explain why the sea is so central and so dangerous in this world.
It's possible. The end of the war reshaped the entire planet, geographically and politically. But again, it ends with that same chilling phrase, "and they will never meet." Another forced separation, another cosmic law put into place by the victors.
So 2 worlds, 2 conflicts, 2 forced separations, which brings us to the third chapter, the prophecy, the one about right now.
The third world, it reads, "Within the chaos there was emptiness. The inconvenient remnants recall the calmest day and hear the voice of the half-moon. The sun god dances and laughs, guiding the world to its end. The sun returns and brings a new morning, and they will surely meet."
The inconvenient remnants? Bro, that's the poneglyphs. That's the Will of D. It's the revolutionaries. It's Odin's journal. It's the Straw Hats. It's everyone who remembers the promise made to Joy Boy. Oda is literally calling his main characters inconvenient remnants. I love it.
The sun god dances and laughs, guiding the world to its end.
That's Luffy. That's Gear 5th. He is literally the laughing sun god who will bring about the end of this corrupt world. The sun returns and brings a new morning. The dawn. It's the name of our podcast. It's the dawn of the world we've been promised since the very beginning of the story. Romance Dawn.
But it's the last line, Robin. It's the part that changes everything. It doesn't say never meet. It breaks the pattern of the first 2 worlds. It says, "and they will surely meet."
The sun god and the earth god, Luffy and Emu. Their clash is inevitable. It's written. It's fated. It's not a curse anymore. It's a promise. And that meeting will be the dawn. Chills. Absolute chills. This is the endgame laid bare.
And as we read this, the chapter shows us panels of the mural that you saw in the Atom Tree. The drawings weren't just a child's dream, they were a visual history. The first panel shows the different races together. The second shows them at war with a huge shadowy figure looming over them. The third shows a tiny laughing figure with spiky hair, bringing them all back together. They were the story of the Harley.
So the giants have had the entire history of the world and a prophecy of its future carved into their sacred tree for 800 years, and they thought it was just kids' doodles. That is the most One Piece thing I have ever heard. It's so profound and so goofy at the same time.
It was hidden in plain sight, as the best secrets always are. It survived because no one recognized its importance.
Man, what a chapter. There's so much to chew on there. If you've got a theory about the Earth God or the Sea God, let us know in the comments. I want to hear what everyone thinks about those titles. Is the Forest God someone we've met? Is Admiral Greenbull a twisted version of that power? The possibilities are endless.
Okay, predictions for chapter 1139. We have to try and guess where Oda takes us after a bombshell like this. What have you got?
All right, I've got 3. First, Prince Loki is not going down. That was a cliffhanger, but it wasn't his end. He's going to be badly injured, but he's going to find a way to defeat that Cerberus sword on his own. It'll be the moment that solidifies just how strong the Prince of Elbaph really is. He needs that win to establish himself as a worthy ally for the final war.
I could see that. He needs a moment to prove himself, to show he's not just a victim. It would also be a great symbolic victory. A giant prince slaying a beast of the underworld sent by the gods.
Second, the mystery man is Scopper Gobbin. He's going to meet Luffy's group at the castle, and he's not there for a friendly reunion. He's there with a warning specifically about the Figarland family and the Holy Knights. He was on Roger's crew, the crew that was at God Valley. He knows something about Shanks' past, and he's there to make sure Luffy knows what he's up against.
A warning from a member of the Pirate King's crew. That would carry some serious weight. Rayleigh guided Luffy in hockey. Perhaps Gobbin is here to guide him through the politics of the world nobles.
And third, we are going to see the third Holy Knight that Shamrock and Gunko summon. Oda's not going to just leave that hanging. We'll get a reveal, and it's either going to be another character we recognize in a shocking new role, or a completely new design that's just as terrifying as the others. My money's on a character we already know, just to twist the knife.
Those are solid. Okay, my turn. My first prediction is about the final line of the Harley, and they will surely meet. The they is specific. It's the sun god, Luffy, and the earth god, Emu. Their battle is inevitable. It's written. It's fated. It's not a curse anymore. It's a promise. And that meeting will be the dawn. Chills. Absolute chills. This is the endgame laid bare.
Second, I'm going back to the Serpent of Hellfire from the first world. I predict this is a literal creature, and we've seen it before, or at least we've seen its shadow. I think it's one of those colossal, mysterious figures we saw in the Florian Triangle near Thriller Bark. Those giant, shadowy beings with glowy eyes. A creature that lives beneath the Red Line, and it's Emu's ancient weapon, the thing they use to enforce their will and maintain the world's divisions.
It's possible. The end of the war reshaped the entire planet, geographically and politically. But again, it ends with that same chilling phrase, and they will surely meet. The sun god and the earth god, Luffy and Emu, their clash is inevitable. It's written. It's fated. It's not a curse anymore. It's a promise. And that meeting will be the dawn. Chills. Absolute chills. This is the endgame laid bare.
And for my third prediction, I don't think we're staying on Elbaph the next chapter. We just had a massive lore dump. Classic Oda is now to cut away. He's given us the prophecy. Now he'll show us the other players moving into position. I think we'll check in with Blackbeard and see what his move is, or we'll finally see the global chaos resulting from Vegapunk's message. He'll leave us hanging on the Harley for at least a week.
Yeah, you're probably right, and it's going to be absolute torture. But that's the fun of it, right? Well, that's all the time we have for this week. My head is spinning, but in the best way. This was Inherited Dawn.
We'll see you when the next chapter drops. Try to piece your minds back together until then.